This is Chilling.
Now, in this country, there's only one man that has bragging rights when it comes to promoting tourism. For over 20 years, this gentleman has been at the peak of tourism. He goes by the names of Amos Wekesa. You guys have heard about him. Amos Wekesa has been promoting Uganda for over 20 years and is privileged to have seen a lot during that tenure, and a lot has really changed under his efforts. Wekesa is a well-known advocate for social and economic development through tourism initiatives and one of the most prominent tourism entrepreneurs we have in this country. He extended his stay in the north after the well-concluded Gulu City Marathon, that happened way back in the north, that is Gulu. And Amos was so keen to find out what West Nile has got to offer as really this raw young tourism destination.
A man of humble beginnings in the village of Rakaka, Amos Masaba Wekesa is a definition of defying the odds and making the climb.
It was so poor that if my mother visited, we used to use her garments, a big cloth that we used to cover ourselves. And so if she stayed away, we had nothing to cover ourselves. At the time, the house was grass thatched, and if it rained, we all sat in one corner, and that was my life.
Wekesa's dream and passion for tourism began at Tororo College after a Canadian doctor saw immense potential in him. Today, he's one of Uganda's biggest leading tour operators, having presided over Great Lakes for the last 19 years.
This region is one of the richest regions that you ever come across. There are very important features that make this region very attractive to the travelers of the world. Number one is River Nile.
He started the Great Lakes Safaris, which is a chain of several lodges, with just $200. Wekesa was one of the first Ugandans to be permitted to build a lodge inside a national park, and now he has operations throughout Uganda, Rwanda, Kenya, and Tanzania. In 2022, Amos launched an event on Uganda's sports tourism calendar, guided by four main pillars: talent identification and development, healthy living, climate change awareness, and year-round tourism phenomenon to support sustainability and eco-friendliness. And this is the Rwenzori Marathon that happens annually in Kasese. As one of the top leading tour operators in Uganda, Amos arrived in West Nile with one mission, and that is to discuss with private sector tourism stakeholders on how West Nile can position itself in line for the tourism opportunities like other regions. With his efforts, we are certainly starting to see a shift in the tourism narrative. However, there is still a long way to go. This show has been supported by ARRA Fishing Lodge, located on a peninsula in Adjumani. VW.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen this everywhere.
Absolutely.
Floating on the socials.
Absolutely.
Young people, a team of young people are doing so much because now they're getting interested in West Nile.
Yes.
Once upon a time, they used to say nothing was documented here.
Yeah.
But now we have storytellers.
Yeah.
A team of soldiers that are determined to tell stories here. What is your take on Visit West Nile?
Well, I think one thing you should know is that these young people telling the story
are actually being led by young man, Emmanuel, Emma, who calls himself the madman.
The madman, yeah.
Not very sure that he should be using the name madman. but is one example, in my opinion, of young people that other young people should emulate. I don't know you know the story of Madman. Yeah. Madman was doing
I went YouTube. To school with him.
You
did? My hobby, yeah.
But he was doing YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
He was doing some stories at a very small number of online.
Yeah.
All he started doing was posting Rwenzori Marathon 5 times a day. And after some time, I looked at this young man posting every day. So one day I sent him a message. Why do you post about Rwenzori Marathon? He said, Amos, I have a very small following on Twitter. But if I post and 50 people see each post, if I post 5 times a day, I have 250 people who would have seen Rwenzori Marathon in a day. I thought that was extremely very logical. So I invited him and had a conversation with him. When I had the conversation with him, I started telling him some of the things he can do, and encouraged him, but I also introduced him to some contacts. Kenya, you see him doing the Mombasa, but I also encouraged him to work with other people.
Yeah.
This is where it was born. And see what he has done for Uganda. I don't think there's any group of people out there on socials that are committed and pushing the agenda of the country like him, like he's doing.
Yes.
And now we have guys like you in what they call the traditional media that are also now pushing.
Yeah.
If we had 500 people like this, out of 45.9 million Ugandans, Uganda will never remain the same.
The fascination just keeps on building and getting better, especially the longer you get to stay here in West Nile.
Yeah.
First of all, you notice in terms of mobility, movement, smooth roads.
Yeah.
In terms of topography,
beautiful.
The hills just look like wallpapers on the screen.
Yeah.
In terms of people, culture, very friendly. You've seen they've met you with smiles.
Yes.
And they're interested. You're like a magnet. Everyone wants to be around you. Let me tell you this, Wekesa, own this. No. I'm being very critical and very honest. Because you're a visionary. You are a visionary. You see something and you want it done, and the way how your mind works is a very interesting thing. Why tourism, even especially having that humble beginning? Why did you choose that as, should I say, career path, or something that you want to invest your time, resources in?
I want to read just something small for you here, which I found yesterday.
Okay.
Something that was written by Martin Luther. He says, when your character is built on a spiritual and moral foundation, your contagious ways of life will influence millions. So it is when you have something deep in your heart and you mean well, it will become contagious. And that's what I'm saying. Even me, I'm still also inspired by other many guys. When we're online with Dr. Opigo, I never had him speak until Emmanuel put him online a few days, I think 2 weeks ago or something like that. And I just couldn't stop listening.
I know, retire.
The passion,
isn't
the level of knowledge he had about the world.
Yeah.
Because you see, some people have local knowledge. If someone is a pediatrician, whatever it is, or a person who does surgery, most times all they know is surgery. But when you find a doctor that knows about the world, knows about the region as East Africa, knows about the country as Uganda, and can come down, compare a region to the rest of the world, that's a fantastic thing. In fact, I was telling him, now I don't need to be the one people are calling for interviews every day. He can come.
Yeah.
And start him, doing the TV interviews, engaging people about not just even West Nile, but he can be a specialist in West Nile with also educating people about the countries in terms of figures. So it is a great opportunity for us to actually be here, to be engaging, to be working with people like yourselves to showcase the beauty of our country.
Tourism has been, for some time, quite some time, being a low-lying fruit, just typically waiting to be harvested. And I feel like Uganda is not taking on that mentor so well, because it's a bit of some, you know.
I think the challenge that we have had is that the older leadership, the older people in the leadership, we are very young when Uganda was the #1 tourism destination.
Okay.
In the 60s.
Yeah.
And Uganda was the top tourism destination in East and Central Africa. I've said at one point Entebbe Airport was the biggest airport on the African continent. At one time, British Overseas Airline Corporation, which is now called British Airways, had their pilots trained in Soroti. At one point, there were cruises on Lake Victoria. At one time, there were steamer ships operating between Lake Albert and Nimule. People don't know. People didn't know that. And also the educated Ugandans have very little limited education because of the teachers as well. Because the exposure is very small. And if you look at our teachers, can you say they can give us the knowledge? Are they exposed to how the world works?
Amos, what about
education?
The dilution of our history? Because also that, I feel it's also a hindrance.
Our education teaches us about the prairies, the rainlands. If I speak about Uganda, even professors, when I speak about Uganda, they're shocked that they actually, some of them think, I just love Uganda, I'm lying. Ugandans themselves. So we're very limited in knowledge. If you ask a Ugandan to write about the prairies, the rainlands, they can write for you a professional paper on those countries. If you ask a Ugandan on Uganda to write about Uganda, you'll be shocked. They have no idea.
They're very vague.
Absolutely.
Do we still have books that have that history? Do we still have records? Like museums?
The internet, there's nothing that the internet doesn't have.
Okay.
If we were deliberate, we could actually search about Uganda and read about Uganda's history on the internet, because it's been archived by the British specifically. And also, as unfortunately, we pass on information orally as Africans or Ugandans in that matter, for that matter. The West documented every step of their journey, including slavery, everything, including colonizing Uganda. Now you're just seeing today revolts. The guy who was the president of the US, revolt. The stories are coming out now that when he visited Uganda, he learned about how to manage society. When he went back, he co-opted the management system of specifically the Bagandas. And he said, these people are not primitive. They had a proper system of governance. When he went to the US and implemented it, Europe also started picking his leadership. So the revolution of leadership in the early 19th century actually started from Uganda. And Ugandans don't know that. If you look at the slave trade along the Nile, look at the slave trade around the Gulu area, Uganda was very easy for the slave traders, for example. Why? We had kingdoms, we had chiefdoms.
The organization,
absolutely.
The system.
So the slave traders only used our kings. They used our chiefs to actually make sure they have slaves going to different parts of the world. But when they talk about slavery, not even Ugandans know that there was a massive slave trade that happened in Uganda.
So Amos, for me, the problem I have with people parachuting in and telling our story is they don't brutally tell it as honest as we have to. They choose what not to say out there. And the question is, whatever they've chosen to say, is it the right image? So let's talk about, in terms of image, what kind of image do you think Uganda can best sell?
What I can say is that the world does not owe us a positive image. No. And media, international media, has a propaganda. America has CNN to tell a story of America positively to the world. Al Jazeera was for the Middle East. CCTV is to promote the Chinese. BBC was to promote the interest of the British. There are two types of BBC. There's a BBC that tells the British about their own internal problems, and that BBC is within the British environment. But there's a BBC that brings in stories of misery from Africa, from South America, BBC and Africa. To encourage to say for the British to feel like, while we are struggling, there are people who are suffering in Africa. they're dying of diseases, you know. But if we want to get positive information published for the British to see, we have to pay. There's no way BBC is going to give you positive stories.
I was shocked because the big, how do you call these people that don't have where to stay? Homeless people.
Massive.
The influx is massive.
Yeah.
But this is the problem we journalists have, yeah? We want to tell the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
But the British or the white man doesn't do that. They will only tell you the good. That is it.
It's because they understand what they call country integrity. When you wake up in the morning, I don't know that you're married or you're not married.
I'm getting there.
You're getting there. When you get married, you'll always have fights with your wife. You'll have fights with your children. But there's what they call a family integrity. When I've had a fight with my wife, I have a responsibility of sorting it internally with my wife. I have a responsibility of protecting the family's integrity by not mentioning my fight in the morning to the public. So Ugandans don't know the difference. They think that everything that comes out, we should shout about it. Internally, we must solve our political differences. We must solve our problems. But when we board a plane, when you have a foreigner, talk about what makes you strong. If I woke up in the morning and started telling you about the challenges I've had with my son, you will have no interest in working with me. But I wake up in the morning and I tell you what I have done well with my child.
Okay.
And that will attract you from working with me. I don't know what we're talking about.
I get it.
And when you portray yourself negatively, you're not going to have economic opportunities. You'll be dead. And the West has made us think that they actually openly speak about the thing. Human rights. Human rights don't work in a poor environment.
Yeah.
A poor environment has more human rights challenges than a grown-up environment. That's why for a country to be stable, it has to have economic empowerment of the people. People must have stake in their own countries.
Yeah.
And for people to have stake in their own countries, they must go out there and look for opportunities.
Yes.
But if you're portrayed negatively, no one's going to give you the opportunity.
Wow. Spot on. Spot on.
Yeah.
Very intelligent
Absolutely.
man.
No, it's good.
Okay, so this is the last question as we're winding up. Hotelians, right, and tour operators, what have you got to tell them? Because West Nile is still raw, can they take chances here and invest here?
I think first of all, the key thing is that we must make, and I'm saying we because West Nile is part of Uganda.
We are Ugandans.
We must make West Nile popular, just like we need to make Uganda positively popular around the world. That's very critical. After we have done that, when we attract the numbers, investment normally follows opportunities. When we know that thousands of Ugandans are flocking to West Nile, we will not have to tell West Nileans to invest in West Nile. They will automatically come and invest. That's how it works. So the first thing is push a West Nile agenda as we push the Ugandan agenda, because West Nile cannot survive without a national agenda.
Okay.
After we have done that, we encourage West Nileans themselves to actually be the first people to invest in West Nile, just like Dr.Jimmy Opigo has done.
Yeah, because that's where I'm going to come in. For a man that has invested on a 30-acre property, that has an aviary, it has an apiary, you know, bees are here, birds, different species. He has marine activities, so massive, the only type and kind you can only find in West Nile because the water is calm and beautiful to play with. He has what we call aquaculture, that is fishing, built cages on top of Albert Nile. What kind of message do you have for him in case if he even gets a chance to watch this?
No, I think, like I've said, he has a very admirable place.
Yes.
I think this is one of the widest parts. I think before you arrive Mason Falls, the widest part of the Nile is about 400 meters, generally speaking. After you cross Albert Nile, when you get to Albert Nile, we are in a place where you have up to 10 kilometers of the wider part of the Nile. And it's in that place. Of course, it's partly connected by the lagoons that make it extremely very unique. It's just like a lake that we've, with the river interrupting it, going towards Nimule. But I also believe that it is important for people to come and see, so they're inspired. Because you see, if I haven't seen, I haven't heard, like I said, you can't be inspired. When your eyes see, everything else you see, you smell, you touch, it speaks a very different message to you. And I hope that this discussion will be watched by more people.
Definitely.
Such that they're encouraged and inspired to come and see what's happening here.
And also, when you see a link on X, try to push it as much
you
as
push
you
it to
can.
me. I will make sure it's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, kila fast.
No doubt, because man, this gentleman is a bigger brand. He's doing so much. He comes in with so much credibility. He comes in with so much, passion in terms of wanting to sell tourism. He's a tour operator. He's a hotelier. I think I should come to one of your properties as well.
Please, you should.
Yeah.
Come
Please
and
give me
have
an invitation. I come with my own,
Kabisa.
my whole entourage.
Absolutely. Just let us know in the beginning of the year and we see what we can do.
Oh, you plan. Thank you very much. We call this a wrap, and I'm going to let him go enjoy his water cycling, because he has identified as one of the activities that he wants to try out on the estate before he leaves this place. So we're going to do that, and we shall see you next week with another special gentleman. Hey, why not I don't give Dr. Jimmy a chance to also talk about...
Please do.
Yeah.
I think, and give him a long time, because a longer time to speak about West Nile.
Okay.
And also Uganda. I don't want him to just end up, because you can't limit a good resource.
Yeah.
You always have to give it a bigger chance.
Okay, so we shall do that.
Okay.
Thank you very much. See you next week with our next guest, who will be Dr. Jimmy Opigo. He's going to really give us, the blueprint of this place and how it shaped up. 2 years ago, I came here. We did the same sit down. But it felt more like an orientation. He was trying to say, I was like, man, you're dreaming. In my mind, he was talking about all this, but I was like, you're dreaming. But hey, this is a man that, I'm sorry to use this sort of description, but he has iron balls.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he does.
He says, I want to do this, and he will do that, because he has built this place from scratch.
Absolutely.
Can you believe it? Not refurbished, but from zero.
Yeah.
So we shall do that. Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Wekesa.
Good day, man.
Thank you for being a cool guy.
Asante. Thank you for also being a cool guy, a cooler guy.
Okay, thank you very much.
You
can also obviously tell who is the true ambassador. He's putting on something patriotic. And
Absolutely.
I'm putting on something. Yeah, we all know this. Bye.
Next week on our next episode, we give all ears to another man who is equally enthusiastic about tourism as Wekesa. Dr. Jimmy Opigo, the CEO and founder of the Penthouse Inn Limited.
We all live to build the world desired. Everyone has a different picture of what the world should be, but we all agree we need a prosperous world where people can afford to eat, to move, be in safety, be vibrant, be connected, be disease-free, okay, and be able to pursue dreams. That is, I think, the bigger picture we are all striving towards.